Hello, my name is Sam, and welcome to my Tiny Glade series. In today's video, I'm going to be building a picturesque hilltop castle with a quaint little cottage nestled into the lush forest below. But this isn't just any castle and cottage. With the recent release of Disney's Snow White, I thought I would try my hand at recreating the iconic Queen's Castle and the House of the Seven Dwarfs. I gave myself a 1-hour time frame, then cut it down, added some fast forward, and wanted to share a few tidbits related to the build. Now, there has been some controversy around the release of the new film. I still thought it would be fun to recreate the iconic castle and cottage of my childhood, and spend some time focusing on Snow White's origins and the significance of her 7 friends. Some historians believe Snow White may have been inspired by real people. 2 rumored inspirations come from the life stories of Margaretha von Waldeck and Maria Sophia von Oerthel. Born in 1533 in Germany, Margaretha von Waldeck was the daughter of a count. After her mother's early death, her father remarried, and some historians speculate that her stepmother resented her, perhaps due to Margaretha's renowned beauty. As a teenager, she was sent to the court of Brussels, where she became involved with the Spanish royal court and reportedly caught the attention of Prince Philip II of Spain. However, at the age of 21, Margaretha died suddenly. Some believe she was poisoned for political reasons, as a relationship with Philip was considered inappropriate. Others suggest she fell victim to courtly rivals, or was her jealous stepmother to blame. Maria Sophia von Oerthel was a Bavarian noblewoman from Germany. Her father, Prince Philip Christoph von Oerthel, was an aristocrat who also remarried after her mother's death. Her stepmother was reportedly harsh and favored her own children over Maria Sophia. She lived in a lower castle, which housed a famous talking mirror. Crafted in 1720 from high-quality glass, the mirror's exceptionally smooth surface reflected light and sound with unusual clarity, creating the illusion that it could speak back when someone spoke near it. Inscribed with the words amour propre, meaning self-love, it may have symbolized vanity, much like the evil queen's obsession in Snow White. Beyond the magic mirror, the lower region was known for its dense forests, where children often went missing or worked under harsh conditions. Miners in the area, suffering from malnutrition, were often short in stature, possibly inspiring the fairy tale description of dwarfs living in the woods. Although many scholars believe Snow White was inspired by these real historical figures, it is primarily a folk story that has changed over time. In 1634, an Italian tale called The Young Slave, a girl is enchanted by her jealous aunt. While this tale has more similarities to that of Sleeping Beauty, the story is said to inspire the tale of Snow White, featuring themes of jealousy, beauty, and mistreatment by an envious woman, which played a significant role in shaping later versions of Sleeping Beauty and Snow White. A more popular depiction and the apparent original story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was written by the Grimm brothers, who produced a darker retelling of the Disney story around 1812. Their tale is about a jealous queen who wants to be the fairest of them all, and orders the death of Snow White. The huntsman spares Snow White, and she finds refuge in the home of 7 dwarfs. The queen then tries to kill Snow White 3 times, the first with laced bodices, the second with a poisoned comb, and finally her 3rd attempt was with a poisoned apple, which succeeded in putting Snow White into a death-like sleep. Snow White is then awakened when a prince accidentally dislodges the poisoned apple from her throat. In the Grimm version, the evil queen is forced to dance to death in red hot iron shoes as punishment. In 1937, Disney released their version of Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. While technically not the first full-length animated film ever made, it is the only one still manufactured, and was the first hand-drawn animated feature film made in color, setting the standard for animated storytelling. Disney's adaptation softened the darker elements of the Grimm brothers' tale by removing the multiple murder attempts in Iron Shoes. It introduced singing dwarves and added music to the otherwise grim tale. However, these stories are not just about Snow White. We have 7 other important characters to talk about, and whose home was the inspiration for my video. In the original Grimm version, the 7 dwarfs were unnamed, acting as neutral characters who helped Snow White but did not actively fight the queen. They represent folkloric guardian figures, like forest spirits or benevolent beings, but Disney gave them distinct personalities and names. We have Doc, the leader, wise and often stumbles over his words. Grumpy, short-tempered, but has a soft heart deep down. Happy, cheerful and always smiling. Sleepy, always drowsy and slow-moving. Bashful, shy and blushes frequently. Sneezy, has a powerful sneeze due to allergies. And Dopey, the only dwarf without a beard, silly and mute. In the 1912 Broadway play, the dwarfs were named Blick, Flick, Glick, Snick, Pick, Wick, and Quee. Other versions of Snow White have introduced new dwarfs with names like Jolly, Snappy, and Crabby. And the 2012 remake Snow White and the Huntsman, the dwarfs had names like Bythe, Muir, and Gort. However, no matter their names, the 7 dwarfs are more than just Snow White's quirky companions. They serve as symbolic figures representing aspects of human nature, moral lessons, and even ancient folklore traditions. Their portrayal varies across different versions of the tale, each emphasizing different aspects of their meaning, but their core role remains the same. They represent human emotion and inner struggles. They contrast vanity and power with humility and kindness, and they symbolize the strength of community over individual greed. Snow White is one of the most famous fairy tales, with origins dating back centuries. It has evolved through oral traditions, literary versions, and modern adaptations, which begs the question, who do you think is the fairest of them all? No matter if you're a lover of the dark Grimm brothers' tale, the comic relief and music of Disney's version, or prefer the more modern retellings, I think there's one thing we can all agree on. Snow White will always be a fairy tale classic. I hope you enjoyed today's video and learning a bit more about Snow White and the 7 Dwarves. If you did, please give this video a like and follow to stay up to date on my next upload. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!